A 118-year-old guy is the last living person on Earth. Everybody else on the planet is essentially eternal and does not experience disease or aging. These almost eternal beings can no longer breed as a result of this costly development. Nemo says he is 35 years old and was born in 1975, even though he clearly looks older. Researchers studying life on Earth before humans became immortal think that Nemo has forgotten who he is. Nemo has no memory of his past, and no written records of it, so people start referring to him as Mr. Nobody. He lives under constant observation, and every week, people cast votes to determine whether or not he should be allowed to die naturally, or be kept alive artificially. A psychiatrist named Dr. Feldheim utilizes hypnosis to help Nemo recollect some of his memories since he is curious about his history. Nemo is able to access his subconscious, which dates back to before he was even conceived, thanks to the hypnosis. A journalist slips into the facility where Nemo is being held, and does his interview while Dr. Feldheim is away. Nemo tells the journalist that all unborn children live in heaven and have memories of everything that might occur in the future and how it could be changed by their decisions. Nevertheless, the angels of oblivion obliterate their recollection before to their birth. For some reason, Nemo is able to remember various possible futures for himself when the angels somehow forget about him. This indicates that the 118-year-old, forgetful Nemo of today is able to remember a variety of possible pasts, including the life he actually lived. Nemo goes on to say that the infants get to pick who raises them, and he picked his mother because he liked the way she smelled. Nemo was born with the capacity to predict every scenario. Telling his mother about the angels of oblivion, he is 9 years old. He accurately guesses that a woman will be killed when his father's car goes out of control. Nemo's mother, on the other hand, informs him that one can only see the past and not the future and doesn't believe him. Nemo's mother has good reason to believe that. When our universe was less than a proton, some 13.7 billion years ago, it burst and began to expand quickly. 3 spatial and 1 temporal dimension were used following the Great Bang. The temporal dimension does not grant us the same freedom of movement as the spatial dimension did, which allowed us to freely move within what we understand to be width, height, and depth. The most obvious evidence that time, as we currently understand it, only goes in one way is the fact that we are only able to view the past and not the future. Nemo turns into a disobedient teenager in the scene where he departs with his mother. He makes every effort to frighten Harry, her mother's boyfriend, away. Nemo's father has an accident that leaves him crippled in the interim. Nemo is enamored with Anna, a new girl he meets at school, right away. On the beach one day, Anna walks up to him and asks if he wants to go swimming with her and her pals. Nemo, on the other hand, brusquely declines, informing her he doesn't swim with fools. They don't really see each other again when Anna leaves, offended. After 2 decades, Nemo meets Anna and her 2 children at the train station one day. Before leaving with an awkward greeting, Nemo feels bad about making fun of Anna at the beach when he was younger. At the beach, Nemo reconsiders his decision once more, and when Anna approaches him, he frankly reveals to her that he is not a good swimmer. After that, the two hang out. A few days go by. The boyfriend of Nemo's mother is too strong for him to handle. Along with his mother and his daughter, Harry moves in with them. Nemo is Anna's stepbrother because it turns out that Anna is Harry's daughter. Nemo and Anna get romantically close over time since they both detest their parents' relationship. Behind his mother's back, Nemo begins breaking into Anna's room during the night. After learning about the step-siblings' affair, Nemo's mother and Harry make the decision to split up in order to end their relationship. The news breaks Anna and Nemo's hearts. Nemo agrees to meet Anna at the lighthouse every Sunday until they cross paths once more. Anna and her father relocate to New York. For months, Nemo waits for Anna at the lighthouse, but they never get to meet. Anna writes him letters, but Nemo's mother keeps them hidden, so they eventually stop communicating. Nemo's distance from his mother keeps growing. 2 decades elapse. Nemo still has strong memories of Anna. He cleans pools for a living and dreams of meeting swimming enthusiast Anna. At last, they cross paths at the train station, where they instantly identify one another among a throng of onlookers. With a passionate kiss, the two make up for the time they lost. Anna informs him that she made a pledge to never love anyone else while she was being kept away from him. She never connected with anyone. She didn't have anything to herself. All she did was pretend to be alive. She has been waiting for this moment for the entire time. She gave up on every life and love she could have for him. She does, however, add that she is no longer accustomed to love. She fears losing him once more, and going through the terrible ordeal of being removed from him when she was 15. She informs him that additional time is needed. Giving him her phone number, Anna invites him to meet at the lighthouse and call her in 2 days. but as a heavy downpour illegibles her note, he loses her number. Every day, Nemo waits by the lighthouse, but Anna never shows up. In an alternate narrative, Anna and Nemo tie the knot and have kids. He is a TV show host who explains different scientific topics. One evening, Nemo strikes a bird and loses control of his automobile on his way home from work. Nemo drowns when the out-of-control automobile crashes into a lake. Nemo is not married to Anna, although he works at the same television studio in a parallel but different version of events. In addition, Nemo's helper falls into the lake and perishes rather than him. Nemo meets Anna at the burial, who turns out to be the widow of his assistant. Nemo investigates the life he may have had if he had stayed with his father, because none of these possible roads to happiness have a happy conclusion. Nemo's father has an accident in this case as well, leaving him crippled. When Nemo isn't in school or taking care of his father, he starts working at a nearby shop. He enjoys riding bikes and using his typewriter at home to compose science fiction stories about traveling to Mars in his free time. Nemo gets to know Elise during a school party and starts to feel something for her, but he becomes motionless in her presence. The nerd begins talking about Mars when Elise prods him to continue. Elise makes him pledge that he will lay her ashes on Mars after she passes away, laughing at his nerdiness. He visits Elise's place a few days later to ask her out, but he finds her with her ex-boyfriend Stefano. He speeds off on his motorcycle out of frustration and gets into an accident that leaves him in a vegetative condition. Despite being able to feel his surroundings, Nemo is immobile and mute. At his bedside, he experiences the reunion of his parents. As the story comes to an end, Nemo attempts to remember how to move his fingers on the typewriter keyboard, and eventually succeeds in lifting a finger. Nemo goes back in time to the moment he first saw Elise with Stefano. Nemo approaches Elise this time after Stefano leaves and declares his love for her. Elise sobs and admits that she is in love with Stefano but that he is not the same for her. Then, Elise graciously declines and walks away. Heartbroken once more, Nemo swears he will marry the first girl he dances with at the school prom. He dances with Jean, a gorgeous girl he meets that night. As he makes his way back home with her, Nemo makes a few promises. He makes a promise to marry Jean and achieve prosperity and wealth. Years go by. Nemo is content with his life despite having a lovely wife, 2 kids, and a large home. Nemo begins making all of his decisions at random by flipping a coin after being dissatisfied with his destination despite having planned his life. He leaves his family and gives Jean all of his belongings. He uses the coin to pose as Daniel Jones, a traveler being driven to a hotel by a waiting driver at the airport. 2 assassins who think Nemo is Daniel Jones kill him in Daniel's hotel room. Nemo remembers his stay at Elise's place once more. After discovering that Elise has feelings for her ex-boyfriend, Nemo persists and persuades her to give him another shot. After a few years, the couple gets hitched. In one version of events, Elise perishes in a blast not long after they tie the knot. Nemo takes off for Mars with her ashes in hand, keeping his word. Nemo joins Anna on board the spacecraft as they make their way back to Earth after scattering Elise's ashes around the planet's surface. But before they can exchange many words, meteoroids smash the spacecraft. Nemo and Elise are married and have 3 kids in a different interpretation of events. Elise, however, suffers from persistent despair and many borderline personality disorders. Elise eventually leaves Nemo to pursue Stefano, even though he makes multiple attempts to keep their marriage intact. She suffers from panic attacks on a regular basis. Nemo repeatedly wakes up in a surrealistic world that resembles a movie set while going through every road he has or could follow, perhaps suggesting that this isn't a path that Nemo could pursue in real life. Nemo finds various hints strewn about the city, which he eventually pursues to a dilapidated, deserted wooden-framed home. He discovers a DVD player connected to a TV inside. The 118-year-old Nemo speaks with the 34-year-old in the oddly interactive video. According to the elder Nemo, time is flipped for him, because the life the younger Nemo is leading is actually the elder Nemo's past. The elder Nemo goes on to show that the younger Nemo does not exist in this specific reality, since in this universe, Nemo nobody was ever born, and all potential life paths are being acted out in the awareness of an unborn infant in heaven. The older Nemo says he has to survive until 5:50 a.m. on February the 12th, 2092, and that he is living the story from the very end. A journalist is perplexed as to which of the many narratives he has heard is the real history of 118-year-old Nemo. He is informed by Nemo that each of these is the appropriate choice. Every road is the correct one. The journalist is even more perplexed by Nemo's statement, and questions how he can continue to live after passing away. He questions whether there is such a thing as an afterlife. When he questions how he can be certain if he even exists, Nemo laughs him off. Nemo continues by informing him that they are both non-existent. Nemo, 9, was forced to make a tough decision at the train station, therefore they are just illusions in his head. The youngster makes each choice through to the end in an effort to determine the best option, but now that he's considered every possibility, young Nemo finds it even more difficult to decide. In the end, Nemo chooses to choose option number 3, that is, to make no decision at all. He flees to an unidentified future, leaving both of his parents behind. In certain situations, the best move in chess is to stay still. Now that he has made up his mind, all the scenarios that were running through his mind start to fall apart. The scene returns to the elderly Nemo lying in bed. Nemo remembers his reunion with Anna and says her name just before he dies. It is shown that in the end, Anna found the lighthouse and got back together with Nemo. The events leading up to this version of Nemo's life were real. The question of how Nemo was able to see into the future still stands. As predicted, at 5:50 a.m., the universe stops expanding and starts to contract, which causes time to reverse. The big crunch is upon the universe. The expansion forces, or dark energy, have ultimately been balanced by gravity forces after the universe grew for billions of years, from a tiny point of singularity to billions of light years in diameter. Similar to how the temporal dimension was initially opened following the Big Bang, it is currently being closed as the universe contracts. Time is turning back. As a result, Nemo is able to relive his early years, witness his parents reconcile, and spend time with Anna. When the 118-year-old guy realizes that his younger self has at last met his one true love in life, he bursts into triumphant laughter. For more videos similar to this, don't forget to subscribe and enable the notifications. I appreciate you seeing.